Hello, and welcome to another episode of Chasing Mysteries Gardens. I'm Rebecca, and along with my wife Karen, we are on a mission to renovate and rejuvenate our little piece of earth. Welcome to the official end of the 2023 gardening season. Now, I say unofficial because to me, gardening is a never-ending cycle. So you plant, it grows, you harvest, it goes to sleep. You plant, you grow, you harvest, it goes to sleep. So it's a never-ending cycle of the earth. And so to me, gardening never ends. Even though I have picked everything there is to be picked and 90% of the gardening beds are put to sleep for the winter, I'm still thinking about, okay, what can I do next year? What can I do different? What new things do I want to plant? So I'm always gardening in my mind, even though I'm not physically getting my hands dirty. So to me, that is why it is the unofficial official end. I have my coffee and my notes, and I just wanted to chat with you about what I did this year, what things we did, not only in gardening but in the rejuvenating aspect of things, what worked, what didn't, and just go over some of the things that some varieties I liked, some things I didn't like, and just generally just do chat with you. So come along with me as we sit down and just talk about 2023 gardening adventure. Originally, I wanted to do this chat outside in the garden so you can see there's still some flowers lingering. The leaves are really pretty right now, but the weather was super warm the last few days, and that's why I was going to do it outside, but it got super cold super fast. So I decided I'm going to move it into the trailer, and let's do a trailer talk. So, I always treat gardening as an experiment. So I never know what's going to work. The things that worked last year don't necessarily work this year. So I just never know what's going to happen when I put something into the dirt. What's gonna come of it? Is it gonna grow? Is it gonna be an abundant harvest? Is it gonna be minimal harvest? Am I gonna get any harvest at all? I just don't know. So to me, everything is an experiment. So this year was all about experiments, and the big experiment was, what can I just plant and leave and not do anything to? I had a really busy summer. For those that don't know, I directed The Jungle Book, and that took up pretty much all of the gardening season plus the canning season of August. I was canning. I just finished pretty much my last canning project yesterday, and it's already the end of October. So, yeah, everything got pushed out, and I needed a garden that was just going to be drop and leave, basically. So, I wanted to talk to you about what I did and what worked and what didn't work. By no maintenance, by just planting and leaving, I mean no fertilizer, no weeding, no trellising, no treatment for diseases. It was pretty much don't do anything. Oh, minimal water, whatever fell from the sky, and then, watering a couple times. Karen did water for me quite a bit over the summer. So there was watering. It's not like I totally ignored that aspect of it, but it just wasn't the top of my mind to do. I got home late every night, and it's kind of hard to water in the dark. And I unfortunately don't have any kind of like automatic drip irrigation or anything fancy like that. So it's pretty much stand out there with a hose. So things that went well, I'm going to be following my notes here. Things that went well were potatoes. So I have my map. If you do not do a map of some kind, to me, I find this extremely helpful. I have put the kind of the outline of my garden bed, and then this is the side garden and some pots, and then this is the side garden. These are pots here, and then this is the garlic bed. It just helps. I put what I plant, the date I plant it, and then the variety that was planted, and then the harvest date. I don't always keep up with this. I real looking at this a few minutes ago, I realized I did not put most of the dates in here, which would have been very helpful. It just helps me know about how long it takes to grow something. The package says, 47 days or whatever, but that doesn't always mean that's what happens. So I just like to have an estimate of how quickly things grow. Let's talk about what went well first. The first thing was potatoes. So these are potatoes that I think I just got these at Walmart. I may have gotten them at Lowe's or Home Depot, but they come in a bag, and there's 5 of them in each bag for about $3.24. And I got White Superior, Yukon Gold, and Gold Rush. And these are all determinate potatoes. So what that means is that they grow, the potatoes inside grow all at one level. It's not like if you hill them or put dirt on top, they'll continue to grow up. Those are indeterminate. These were determinate. So I knew that they were I didn't have to do mounds or anything like that. So very low maintenance. So I planted them in the ground and let them grow. I did mulch them. I always mulch my potatoes. And I got quite a few potatoes. They were on the smaller side. I planted them in my bed, in a bigger bed this year. In previous years, I did them in pots. And I don't know if that was a reason, if the soil was too shallow or I didn't leave them in long enough, but they tended to be on the smaller side, which is fine. A potato's a potato, and we're still eating them. Store them in a cool, dark place after they have hardened off, and they're fine. So, potatoes, no maintenance. What else? Garlic. So the garlic I planted October 15th, 2022. I always do it on or about October 15th. That is our first frost date. So I look at the weather. If it looks like it's going to frost sooner than October 15th, I will plant them sooner. But I always try to get them in the ground by the 15th of October. They need to be in the ground for a little bit for them to grow roots and kind of establish to hold on to for the winter. So you want to do it while the soil is warm enough for them to do that, but not too long that they shoot up sprouts and they grow. Now, if they do get sprouts, that's fine. Last year, all my garlic got sprouts, and early in, I think it was November because it stayed warm so long, but they were fine. So I got beautiful, beautiful garlic. And then I harvested it on July 4th. I always try to do July 4th weekend as the harvest date. That just seems to be what works for me. And I always get a beautiful harvest. This year I put away so much. I like to mince mine and put it in bags and put it in the freezer and then just break off pieces as I need it. And then I'm not having to peel and mince garlic all the time. It's just one and done. Beans. So I did, should have been more organized. I did 3 different kinds. These are Earl Serve, Bush Blue Lake 47, and Bush Blue Lake 247. Now, I don't know what the difference is in the number. These were organic. I got these from Baker Creek, and I feel like the ones that did the best were these. They produced well, they grew well. I had one batch of beans that didn't grow as well, and I don't know why. I think what I may have done is I used this supplement in the ground, and I think I may have put too much on top of each bean, and I think it just killed it. So, yeah. So these were, well, I actually got 2 plantings of these. One was in May. I planted in May and harvested in July. And then the other I planted, I wanted to see if I could get a second planting. I've never tried to do a second planting of beans. So I planted in August 20th and harvested on October 15th. So that was nice to be able to eat fresh beans twice in a year. Nasturtiums. So I did a new variety called Bloody Mary. These were so beautiful all summer long. Once they got going, I did have some rough ones. I think one of my beds just doesn't have the right nutrients, and I will have to amend that next year. Everything that I planted in there did not do very well except for the lettuce. I planted 6 onion sets, and I got 1 onion and 5 onion sets. Like they didn't grow at all. But we'll talk about what didn't grow well a little bit. So, but then in the other garden bed, I planted these, and they grew phenomenally. They were everywhere. They had big, beautiful leaves, and they tasted so good. The flowers were so beautiful. There were yellows and reds and oranges and yellow and reds, and they were just gorgeous. So, yeah, I saved these seeds, and we're going to grow them again next year, hopefully. So another thing was chamomile. This did really well. I tried to grow it in small pots, and that didn't work. They got root bound and just stopped growing, but the ones I put in the ground just blossom and blossom. They're still blossoming. So I'm going to have lots of tea for this summer, or this winter, sorry. The lettuce did really well in the bed. I did this. This is actually from the Dollar Tree. And then this was free from Baker Creek. It was Merlot. I really didn't like the taste of this one, but that's just personal preference. It grew well. And yeah. What else grew well? Oh, the cucumbers. So this was a new variety for me. Be It Alpha. This is a self-pollinating. All of the flowers are female. They're the little nubby cucumbers that you buy in the store, like 5 to a little bag. I experimented with these in the fact that A, it was a new variety. B, I let some grow really long, some grow really short, just to see what taste difference would be, and like how long could I leave them on the vine without picking. So I was very, very happy with these. I had so many cucumbers. I couldn't eat them all. I was giving them away to people, but they were so delicious. I had no maintenance. Last year, I was out with my little paintbrush trying to pollinate all of the cucumber flowers, because we don't have a lot of natural pollinators, which is something I'm working on. I planted more flowers, or I'm trying to plant more flowers. We did chamomile and dahlias this year. I got a lot of weeds I let go to flower just to try to bring them in. I actually introduced ladybugs to the garden this year to try to cut down on aphids, and then pollinate some things. I did see bees, a few. I had a lot of parasitic wasps, which are good for your garden. What else did I see? Aphids, which aren't good for your garden. So, but slowly we're trying to create a more natural place for beneficial insects to come and live. So hopefully I can convince Karen to let me get a little beehive or a little bee house or something to put in the garden. But I'm super happy with these. I would suggest these for anybody who just wants to plant and leave. These are also good for pots. Something else that grew well was parsley. So I planted this in 2 different pots and cut from it all summer. It's beautiful. I love parsley. Jalapenos. These did phenomenal. So these came from Baker Creek. They were Craig's Grande jalapeno. So this year I wanted so many jalapeno plants. So I planted this entire packet. I think I had 66 jalapeno plants. Let me see. Yes, 66 jalapeno plants. And I ended up not planting them all. I always hate that. Next year, I think I might put a table out front and just give them away to people. But they just grew. I had 3 different pickings of them. So I'd pick them all, then they'd come back. I'd pick them all again, then they came back, and I picked them all again. So I was able to make so many things with jalapenos this year. And one thing that we absolutely love is a jalapeno relish that we use for tacos. And it's kind of like a cross between a relish and a salsa, because Karen can't eat tomatoes. So we use this on tacos a lot and on nachos and things like that. And it is so delicious. There is something similar in the stores, but they don't make it anymore. So I've had to learn to make it myself. So that is why I grow a ton of jalapenos. And this variety was just so delicious and so prolific and just amazing. So I love these. They did really well. All right, now for the things that didn't go well. Hungarian banana peppers. I got enough to stuff some for the freezer, but I planted like 20 plants, and maybe 10 of them matured to the point of actually producing peppers. And then maybe 2 plants produced peppers big enough for stuffing. The rest were all these small little nub things. And it could have been because these are older seeds. I got these from M.I. Gardener, and I got them 2 years ago. So this was the second season for these. So maybe it was that. But also, I plant all my peppers close together. So I think they may have cross-pollinated with the jalapeno, because the first year, these were not hot. I bought these as not hot banana peppers. The second year, this year, they were hot. So I think that they may have crossed. Either that or all the seeds in this packet were not true jalapenos. I don't know. So those didn't do very well. Swiss chard. So I had this variety, which is Ford Hook Giant. And then I had a just mixed color Swiss chard from the Dollar Tree. And I planted Swiss chard in the same bed for 3-4 years now. So I think that's one reason why it didn't do very well. Same thing with kale. I didn't even keep the kale packet. Swiss chard grew, but it never got big. Like, it never got giant. It just stayed really small. I only got 1 cutting from it. And I'm actually just dehydrating it to add to my greens powder, because there wasn't even enough to eat as a meal. So I was a little disappointed, because we do love Swiss chard. So my over the winter experiment with the one big root that I had, because these are actually biannuals, that one grew tremendously. And when I pulled that root out, it is like it broke off halfway, and there's still root in the ground. It is so big and so strong. And I don't know, it was growing tiny little leaves again. Maybe I could have grown it again, but I didn't. I picked it. So yeah, disappointed in the Swiss chard. So I tried to grow milkweed. This is Gay Butterflies. I never got it out of its seed starting little pots. And then the leaves that I did get on it were just powdery mildew. So I don't know if I didn't do it right. I don't know if I just need to plant them in the ground and they'll do better. But these really bring the butterflies and the pollinators. So that's why I really wanted to grow them. So I do have a few left. I'll try again next year and just maybe put them in the ground rather than trying to start them in pots, even though the back says start seeds inside. So we'll see. Something else that didn't work well, peas. Was very sad about these peas. We love Garden Fresh peas, like love, love, love them. So this was my first year trying the tall telephone peas to grow upward, and they didn't grow at all. I planted, I don't think I have the number. No, I don't have the number, but I planted this whole packet, which was quite a few seeds. And actually, I planted a second packet because the first ones didn't work. I don't know if I planted them too deep, which may have been the case. We also have terrible squirrels. Like, they will dig into everything no matter what I try. So I even put these grates over the gardens, and that still didn't work. So my guess is I planted them too deep and they didn't have enough energy to get to the surface. Out of what seems like a huge number of seeds, probably 75 seeds, I got 5 plants. Only 2 of them grew to maturity. So we just had snacks. That was it this year, which is very sad. Something else I tried was stevia. I don't know what made me try this. I just thought it looked fun and something different. I like to see if different things are going to grow in my area. And this was, I even wrote on here, fail. The seeds are minuscule. Like, they're like tiny little hairs. They're so small. You basically just put it on the surface and hope for the best. And I got one out of there were 5 seeds in here because they're kind of expensive. 5 seeds. I got 1 sprout, and that sprout died. Still in its infancy. So I don't know what I did wrong. I probably overwatered it or covered it with too much dirt. I don't know, but I was not successful. All right, and then the last thing that oh no, it's not the last. I have a couple more. Bunching onions. I thought, okay, I can't really grow onions. Why not grow bunching onions? So I planted quite a few of them, and I got 2 really nice onions. The rest I just left in the dirt and pulled them out at the last possible second and dried them. And I was very disappointed. I just don't have success with onions here. I don't know if it's my ground or my soil or just lack of knowledge. I don't know. I just wish I could grow onions better. I keep trying. I tried carrots. So I had a pack of carrot seeds. I don't even know why I got it, where I got it, how I got it. Maybe it was given to me. I don't know. But I think I planted them too late in the growing season because October 15th, wait, what's today? October 28th. Today's October 28th. I picked them yesterday and they were still tiny little shoots. Now you could see the start of a carrot in there, but there's no way that they would have lasted. Even if I had covered the garden bed, they wouldn't have grown very big in the amount of time that we have left. Like maybe we have 30 days, but it's supposed to freeze this week, so at night. So our time is ticking. So I didn't think that there was going to be enough time to actually grow them. I planted them on 8/20 just as an experiment to see if I could even get them to germinate, because carrots are kind of hard to germinate. And yeah, so I think with more time they would have been successful. It's hard because you can't plant them if you're going to do it in the fall, you can't plant them when it's too hot outside or they won't germinate. And then they're hard to germinate. And I don't know how people grow carrots. But this was my first time, and I'm learning as I go. So maybe next year. I've talked about the things that worked, what didn't work, the things that were new: chamomile, carrots, peas, bunching onions, milkweed, and also cabbage. We got one cabbage plant from a friend, and we got a little decent sized cabbage, and that was fun. I'd never grown that before. I have a problem with cabbage moths in this area. That's why I don't try broccoli. I don't try cauliflower, because the one year I did, the cabbage moths just descended and decimated everything. So, yeah, cabbage is in the same family, so I've never really tried, but we did have some damage. It was mostly slugs, I think. But yeah, we got a cute little cabbage. It was fun. And then I actually had a bunch of accidental plants this year. So the pumpkin. Karen threw a pumpkin in the dirt last year. And then in the spring, when I was, mixing up the topsoil, I saw these tiny little sprouts. So I pulled them out and I planted them in their own little pots, and then they grew. And then I planted them in the garden, and then they kept growing. And one of them just kept growing and growing and growing and growing. And that vine must have been 15 to 20 feet long. And it had a couple starter pumpkins. One got eaten by something, a rabbit or a squirrel, when it was still green. Another one died before it formed. But this one, I think it's because it got protected by the leaves, and then it was kind of back behind the garden. It just grew and grew and grew and grew and grew. And we got our own Halloween decoration. So it's the first time we've successfully grown a pumpkin. So that was fun. And then a while back, while doing the front garden video, I asked about this mysterious plant, and it turns out that it was indeed ground cherries. And we don't know how it got there. Must have been a bird or an animal, or I don't know, our neighbor throwing something into the yard. I have no idea, but we got ground cherries, and they didn't grow long enough for them to fully ripen and mature. But I tasted one. It was they're supposed to be a yellowy color. This was kind of yellowish green. So it wasn't quite ready, but I tasted it and it was good. It was they say it's a cross between a pineapple and a strawberry. And I could see that being true. So even though the plants weren't mature, I still tried to save the seed, and we'll see if we can do it on purpose next year. And then something else that was accidental was a flower. It's Nigella, often called love in a mist. I call them alien flowers until I looked it up. They were these purpley blue flowers. They were super pretty. I thought it was a weed. And then I let it dry, and it created this alien looking pod, kind of like a poppy. And I thought, well, maybe it's in the poppy family. And the seeds look like poppy seeds. They're a little bit bigger. So I did some research, and it turns out that you can eat it. It's used in, I believe it's Indian cuisine. So that's interesting. So, yeah. So some of the projects that we did this year was the front garden and the fence. And then I did a whole lot of seed saving this year. Part of just planting it and leaving it was I just left it. I left it until the very end of its life cycle. So I was seeing a lot of seed formation, and I thought, why not? I'm not going to waste those seeds. Why not try to save them and grow them again next year? Seeds that I saved: nasturtiums, chamomile, lettuce, of course, the jalapenos, banana peppers, Swiss chard, the nigella, and the ground cherries. Did I miss any? Oh, and the pumpkin. I haven't saved the pumpkin seeds yet because we're still using it for Halloween. But as soon as November 1 comes, that pumpkin is mine. So yeah, that's it. I think it was a year of definite experiments, a year of learning, which is every year for me. There's nothing I have found that I can just plant over and over and over again and it will be successful. I think the closest thing is cucumbers, but they are disease prone, and I don't like dealing with diseases, like trying to fix things. I just figured if it's going to get a disease, it's going to die anyway, so why fight it? Um, yeah, I feel that way about powdery mildew as well. I'll pick the leaves off, but it's to me it's kind of pointless to try to fight it. Um, I'm not trying to. I feel like I would feel differently if I was trying to grow all of my own food for survival, which right now I'm not. Um, so, it's going to die. It's going to die, whether it's disease or natural causes, just time. So I don't really fight disease. I do fertilize. I did. Oh, that's one thing. That's something I experimented with was, different kinds of composting. So I don't have a compost bin. I could create one. We took those trees down, and there is some space over to the side that I could create a compost bin if I wanted. But I learned about it's like chop and drop basically, or trench composting. So I cut all of my pepper plants and I threw them into the garden bed, and then I just took a shovel and I basically just chopped the heck out of them, broke them up into small pieces, and then I kind of mixed them up in the dirt. I did the same thing with a pumpkin that we had rotting. I chopped that up and put it in the dirt, mixed that up, and then I put leaves on top. So that's one thing I did: chop, drop, and chop. Then I did trenching, which you dig a trench down the center of your garden and you put kitchen scraps. I don't do meat because animals will come, but like eggshells and rotting food that's in your fridge, or cooking scraps or things like that. I put into the trench, and then I covered it up, and then one bed I left uncovered, and the other bed I covered in mulch. So that's a second second way. A third method is I took the bean plants, I left the roots in the ground, and then I just chopped off the plant and I just laid it on top. I've done that before. It doesn't break down all the way. In the spring, I gotta take all that off. but it just adds a layer of protection, just like mulch does. It's just a layer of bean vines and plants and bushes and stuff like that. And then I left another bed completely bare. I didn't do anything. I just chopped off the plants at the root and left the roots in the ground. And then some I didn't put any fertilizer in. I just covered in mulch, and some I put fertilizer in and didn't cover in mulch. So we'll see in the spring how everything goes. I'm going to study this winter about soil pH and amendments, because I think some of my beds I've been planting in since I started gardening, and I think they're just depleted of nutrients. So I need to learn how to fix that. So that will be an adventure for this coming spring. So in addition to the jalapeno salsa, or jalapeno relish, I should say, that I made, I also did spend a lot of time in September and October kind of processing everything that I either grew or got from the farmer's market. So some of the things I did: peaches, pears, green beans. I canned green beans and potatoes. I did the jalapeno relish. I did a cucumber salsa. I did a peach salsa. And I did a jalapeno salsa. I froze squash and pumpkin. I like to do O'Brien potatoes. So that's potatoes and onions and peppers. I did bags of peppers, both diced and strips. I did garlic for the freezer, green peppers, onions. I did basil blocks. I dehydrated dill, parsley, oregano, greens. I did some little tomato bites. They kind of turned out like tomato jerky. They're good though, just a little snack. What else did I do? Beans. Oh, I already said beans. Green beans I did, but then I also did um, navy beans and garbanzo beans. And I did tons of juice. I did grape juice this year, did tomato juice this year. I'd made a pineapple relish. I should make a list of everything I did. That'd be much easier than trying to remember it. But I used 95% of my jars. I only have maybe a dozen quarts and a dozen half pints left. I call that successful. What else? Oh, I saved chamomile for tea. I started spearmint. That is also for tea. So yeah, I put up a lot for the winter. So we will enjoy it all. And our stomachs will be full and happy. And that is what I like doing, feeding my family. So yeah. All right, well, I think this is the unofficial official end, or the official end of this video? Let's see. Coffee. Mm-hmm. The end. All right. This has been an amazing trailer talk. Thank you for joining me on all of my crazy adventures in the garden, and watching as Karen does the hard work for the garden and most of the fence work. Really appreciate you being here. I know I haven't been on as much as I was in previous years. I've been doing what I can when I can. I've gotten back into directing theater, which does take quite a bit of time, but I truly enjoy that. That is, I think, more than gardening, quite a passion of mine. So I am very grateful to be given the opportunity to direct anytime that a theater would want me to direct. So that will be fun. I may have some projects coming down the pipeline, so watch out for that. And then again, as we rest this winter, I'm still thinking about next year's garden and what we are going to grow and plant and grow and harvest together. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and also do not forget to hit the subscribe button for more. You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on YouTube. And as always, Suki Suki, love the earth, love yourself, love each other. Till next time.